think it's probably a safe assumption to say that at some point in your lives, most of you have played a video game. You know, it doesn't matter if it's Pac-Man or the newest Call of Duty Black Ops map, but some of you have probably been told, or even thought yourself, that it's nothing but a children's toy. That it's akin to Tinker Toys. Why are you spending so much time playing video games when you could be out doing something else? Well, I hope to prove that thought wrong. And I hope to show you that video games can be every bit as expressive an art medium as film or literature. After first getting a grasp on what art is, I also hope to show you specific examples of how games can provoke philosophical thought, immerse you in deep emotions, and face controversy in today's society. Now, what is art? People have been asking this for centuries, even millennia. Art can be defined as a picture on the wall, a old painting from someone whose bones are long dust, a sculpture, but it can also be a 4-line poem. It could be a haiku. It could be a Pulitzer Prize winning article in the newspaper. It could even be a particularly well done film. Art is defined in all of these ways, and as one of the founding tenets of this country, art is actually protected as one of our basic rights, the First Amendment that protects our right to freedom of speech. And it also protects our own particular views on what we can classify as art. There's an old saying that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I believe that art can also be defined as such. And you can hold what you want to be of value, and you can just throw other things in as, you know, rubbish or trash or whatever. But the point is that art is specific to a person, and no matter what it happens to be for each individual person, the only common theme is that it has the potential to enrich our lives. Now that we've got that past us, how are video games a form of art? Well, the first point that I want to bring up is a game called Mass Effect, and what this game does to show us about our humanity. According to James from the show Extra Credits, this game is an absolute masterpiece in showing us just what humanity is. At one point in the game, you are given the choice to either rewrite a sentient being's most basic belief in order to save yourself, or proceed in their total destruction. And these are your only choices. Now, the author actually had to sit down and think about this for a while and ponder to himself, what would I do? He didn't know. He actually had to think long and hard about what exactly these two things meant. He had to take a fundamental belief, a religious belief that these beings believed to be the voice of God, and to either take that away from them or destroy them entirely. Now, that may not resonate particularly well with you, but think about what exactly it means. Imagine if the religion of that you've held so dearly, or something that you've been raised to believe to be true, were able to be taken away from you so wholly and thoroughly that if you were to see someone else who shared that belief before it was taken away from you, you would probably couldn't stand that person. And the only way to prevent this from being happen would be your death. What would you choose? So as I've shown, that is only one particular part of what art is. A second is how it can evoke emotions. Now, I'm sure all of you are familiar with Edgar Allan Poe, the famous poet from the 19th century. But many of you are probably less familiar with the video game Amnesia, The Dark Descent. Now, the connection is not immediately apparent, but they both have the same thing in common. They attempt to evoke fear, one of the most basic human emotions and one of the most mysterious at the same time. Just as Poe used emotion and suspense in order to translate this feeling towards his readers, Amnesia: The Dark Descent does the same thing in its video game through the use of the unknown, through the use of fear, suspense, restrictions, defenselessness. All of these things are masterfully crafted into an experience that can be nothing short of terrifying. And as my last point, art, just as art forms can be seen as controversial or inflammatory, so too can a video game. And one such example is a game called 6 Days in Fallujah. Art is often used to depict or recreate historical events to evoke a reaction similar to the event itself. One such example is the film Schindler's List, in which the entire experience of the Holocaust was condensed into a 2-hour movie that portrayed the entire human experience, both Nazi and Jew, of this horrible and despicable act in human history. Now, this film was widely celebrated for its actors, for the message that it portrayed, and for how deeply it was able to touch us as human beings. Now, by comparison, 6 Days in Fallujah was shown was the video game to show the Battle of Fallujah, which was one of the most bloody battles in Operation Iraqi Freedom. This game was not meant to be a classic common shoot-'em-up game. This was a deep and emotional story being told about soldiers fighting in Iraq and their struggle and their efforts. Instead of being celebrated as Schindler's List was, this game was seen as a child's toy. It was trivializing this great struggle that soldiers had been fighting in. And as a result, the game didn't actually make it out into production. So, in conclusion, I hope that I have shown, and that you'll agree with me, that video games are every bit as artful a medium as its predecessors, and that we can hope in the future to express our humanity through them, just as we have with everything else beforehand. Thank you.
So, RC, what did you think?
That was pretty good. That was a pretty good speech. I think the obvious two things wrong with the speech, he probably already